Hi everyone, good morning. I'm Coach Amy and welcome to another live episode of Forking Made Easy. This time is my third live show and I am down to zero nervousness, so I'm getting much better at this. I do apologize, for some reason my camera keeps dropping a little bit, so if you see me adjusting, I'm just trying to keep my head in the shot for you. So, since it has been hotter than the 7th layer of hell lately, cook meals so you don't have to turn on your oven, your stove, no heat involved. Both of these are super quick and easy, and I'm actually going to make them as, I'm going to show you how to meal prep them. So I'm not only going to show you the recipe, I'm going to show you how I store them to keep them throughout the week, since I'm not going to be eating these two immediately. The first one is a white bean and tuna salad. So for this recipe, you're going to need a can of white beans. They're either called Great Northern beans, cannellini beans, they go by a few different names. So just make sure you drain and rinse them. White onion, Roma tomato, cucumber, lemon juice, garlic, tuna, Dijon mustard, olive oil, Italian seasoning, and salt and pepper. So the first step of this is we're going to make the dressing portion, and that's going to be the fresh squeezed lemon juice and about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Okay, and then my favorite Dijon mustard, I know I brought this one up before, the Trader Joe's version. Has such a nice kick to it and really spices up recipes. So that's going to be about 2 teaspoons, about a tablespoon of Italian seasoning. And you could switch this up as well. You don't have to keep it Italian. Maybe find some other spices that you like. All right, salt and pepper. And I know I wrote 2 to 3 cloves of garlic on the recipe, but who's kidding? Like, there's probably 10 cloves in here, but that's okay. The more garlic, the better. All right, so we're just gonna whisk that together real quick. And this one, I don't like to eat this one right away because the longer it sits, the more the flavors absorb. And this was one of those recipes that actually tastes better the next day. So that's another reason why I'm meal prepping it. I'm gonna make it today. This will be my lunch for Monday and Tuesday. Okay, so next we're going to mix all the dry ingredients. So that's the beans and tuna. When you get tuna, make sure you're getting tuna packed in water and not oil, because when they are packed in oil, I guarantee you they are not a healthy oil. So, and I prefer albacore over tuna, but that's just my preference. All right, and then we're going to add the cucumber. And again, if you don't like onion, you don't like tomato, you don't like cucumber, any of those, just put in what you have, or, add the veggies that you like. All right, probably should have grabbed a bigger bowl. All right, so I'm just gonna mix all these together. All right, I'm gonna let that dressing sit for just another minute. Like this, I will store them in a mason jar. And the purpose of the mason jar is it helps keep everything, it won't get mushy in the mason jar, and it helps them stay fresh for longer. When I make mason jar salads, they'll usually stay in good texture, in shape for a few days. So what you do first is you always want to put your wet ingredients on the bottom, and then you top it with the greens. The next day what I'll do, I can either shake it up, eat it directly from here, or pour it into a bowl. And the wide mouth mason jars are much easier to work with because you can stuff the ingredients in easier. So I prefer the wide mouth ones if you can find them. Sometimes they're not the easiest to find. All right, so I'm just gonna add the dressing. Whisk it a little more. I have so much garlic in here, it's like a giant clump. Okay. And this is a nice light summer salad too. And again, you don't have to have this with greens. Sometimes I just eat this with crackers as well. It's also really good if you have an avocado, slice it in half and then stuff the inside with this. It's really, really good. I have a hard time just eating half the avocado though. Usually it ends up being the full thing. Okay, so I'm just gonna put about 2 scoops of this in the bottom of the mason jar. And this should make about 4 salads, depending on the size, but I usually get about 4 out of this recipe. So you see all the wet ingredients go on the bottom. This way when I put the greens in, it's not going to make the greens mushy. And a lot of these ingredients have a lot of water, like the tomato and the cucumber can be pretty watery, so you don't want to water down your greens. All right, and for this, Arugula is my favorite. Arugula is one of my favorite greens, and it does hold up well with salads that you're storing and not eating right away. So I'm just gonna fill the rest of this with the arugula. Can easily get a couple fistfuls in there. All right, let's try one more. Okay, and then I just seal it up. So tomorrow when I go to eat this, I'll just shake it before I eat it, pour it into a bowl, and everything will be mixed together. The flavors will be there because I let this sit overnight. So that took all of a few minutes. That's a great, easy summer recipe. Okay, the second one I'm going to make are burrito bowls. Now the thing with these bowls, another what would go good in a burrito bowl. So for these, what I did, I took a rotisserie chicken. So again, I didn't have to cook. I just peeled the meat off of a rotisserie chicken. I used the meat from the breast. It was added chili powder and what is this, tagine? It's like a chili lime seasoning. So just to give it a little bit of a Mexican kick to the chicken, just poured it on there, mixed it together. I'm also going to add brown rice, and to save time and again to not have to cook, I use the 90-second brown rice. Like this one at Aldi's. It's organic, you know, but be careful when you do buy these. If you get a flavored one, they may have a lot of sodium in them. So just try and stick with, you know, plain brown rice. And this one does actually have, what else is in it? It does have sunflower oil. It has some salt, but the sodium, you know, it doesn't have a high sodium content by any means. But, you know, the oil's added there to stop this from drying out and, you know, be able to microwave it and whatnot. So just make sure you get some with limited ingredients. Watch the salt intake, especially if it's a flavored variety. It's going to have that extra salt. Okay, so for the base of my bowl, I'm going to use romaine because it's nice and crunchy. So this is a good one for the burrito bowls. Again, I like to store in glass. So Pyrex is a great brand. That's usually the one that I recommend the most. They last forever too. I don't put them in the dishwasher because I feel like when I dishwash them, the plastic cover does tend to warp a little bit. So these I do wash by hand, and again, they'll last forever. Okay, so usually I add black beans to this too. I didn't have black beans on hand, but when I do add those, I'll do the same thing where I'll add the chili powder, you know, any kind of Mexican seasoning to spice it up. All right, so I'm just gonna add a little bit of the rice, and you could use any green you want. I've also used farro is another one of my favorites. And again, that's one that takes a long time to cook, but you can find it in these microwavable packets. So again, I'm not all about convenience foods, but there are some products that I do enjoy to use, and this is one of them. All right, and then I'm just gonna top it off with some chicken. Little extra chicken. Get all my protein in there. And I had baby bell peppers. That's one of my favorite veggies to snack on. So I'm just going to add those as well. And peppers, hot pepper rings. It's another one of my favorites. Now with this type, especially since all that chicken's on top, I'm not too worried about putting wet ingredients on top of this because it's still going to hold up pretty well. However, I am going to put the salsa and the guacamole separate to store because that will kind of weigh it down and mix it up a little bit. So as you can see here, I just threw everything in one bowl. I'm going to seal it and have this later in the week. Another one, this took all of, you know, just a few minutes. And the salsa I pack separate, so I just take it in a little cup. And then I like to get these guacamole cups. These are, I believe this brand is Holy Guacamole, and all it is smashed avocado. Now because they're sealed, it's going to stop the avocado from getting brown. If I were going to eat this right away, I would probably use fresh avocado. But because I'm going to take it later, I don't want the avocado to get brown, so I will use these packs for convenience. Okay, and that is it. You know, 2 quick and easy recipes without having to turn on your stove. Oh, and I did want to share one more thing. This was not in the recipe list, but this has been my obsession this week, and I highly recommend them. This is not my recipe, but I will share the recipe on the members page. These are 2-ingredient bagels. So I may have been making these all week, and they are so good. All it is, well, they call them 2-ingredient bagels, but there's actually 3 ingredients. So all it is flour, Greek yogurt, and baking powder. You mix them together, you put them into ropes, form it into the shape of a bagel, and I air fry them. So these take about 20 minutes. in the past week. This is about the 4th time I've made them. So I'll be sure to share that, especially if you like bagels and you want something quick and easy. And they do last a few days. Any of the batches I've made have not lasted more than a day because we eat them. So, but they will hold up for a few days if you keep them covered. And I think that about does it. I'm gonna check real quick just to see if anybody has any questions. Give me 1 second. I know most people tend to watch this after the fact, so I don't usually get too many people on live.